you create it's called the CSS state, and I can just open it on my editor called CSS. Let me launch my phone so you can see it. All right. Hope you can see the phone, eh?
Yeah.
All right, all right. So this is the editor. Let me just zoom into it. So it has it initialized the extension. And wait, let me just build the app and install it on the phone. So you can just run Flutter run. So that command will just create the app, and you'll see it being launched on my phone. I'll build it, and then install it. Not pub spec was found. Oh yes, sorry, I never navigated inside the app. So that pubspec.yaml is the file that the Flutter run will check to see which packages you want to install on the app and stuff like that when it's building. So it does that. And when it's done, you'll see it on my phone being launched there. But for now, let me just do part of this generated code. So a lot of this stuff so that we can just code it.
Hey, I think you're coming in boring. Niko unapotea.
Guys, it's because this app is being created, so net is kind of heavy.
Okay.
So
Okay. And can
I
you
don't know
increase
if you
the
should wait.
size of the code? Is it possible?
The font or the phone.
Yes, the font. Not the font. The editor. Is it VS Code?
Yeah. I can. It's no big
Yeah,
deal.
maybe you can. Okay.
That's good.
That's okay.
All right. Okay. Uh-huh. Just take out of most of this stuff. I have a clean copy. This is basically the call that you get when you run the Flutter create, then the app name. This is what you get. This will be part of the. It's happening here. Function body will be provided.
Second is some background music. I don't know whether you can hear. You're in a position to mute it.
I have not.
Okay.
Yeah. I am not right now, but I hope it's not that much disturbing, is it?
Uh, it has reduced, but one moment it was so loud.
Anyway, I've removed all the code that was there. This thing is still building. Uh, oh, we run into errors. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me just do it again. You create the app maybe first time, or just you just do Flutter run. Then it will run the Gradle task and everything. Then the app will be installed on your phone. We got an error. It's fixing that thing about the final string. So just waiting for it to rebuild again. So what the app itself. Like this, for example, if you have let's say like an e-commerce website, then you have something like a wish list. There's another thing like a cart, and then you have like buttons. Maybe on the button navigation, you have like a button that shows you the number of things you have inside the cart, and maybe on the wish list also it shows you the number of things you have inside the wish list itself. And also you can also, for example, a wish list, you'll have like a favorite button, which changes color when you click on it. That is state. That is change of state. So when you're dealing with state here, the simple way of doing it is just using this thing. This is what you call every time. But before we get to that, uh, for 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 you to manage state in any, everything in Flutter is a widget. For you to manage state in any of those, you'll have to, state can only be managed inside a stateful widget. This one, take note of that. This one is the only, you can't manage state inside a stateless widget. You would create a widget to be stateless when you don't need, or you don't have anything that changes inside that. Like you don't have anything like maybe a button that you click and changes something that is inside the app, then you can just have it as a stateless widget. There's no point of creating a stateful widget. But if you have something that does change, or you want to utilize this function like set state, then it must be inside a stateful widget. Otherwise, it's not actually available inside a stateless widget. You can just type it inside. Uh, the stateless. If I try to type set state like that, it's not even available on this method under this class stateless widget, but it is available only under stateful widget, where you now be changing the state of something. For example, let me apply first so that we can actually takes time, man. Anyway, just be patient with it. So, for example, things you can change in the state is like when somebody enters, or maybe like for example, you have a text field or a form field where a person is entering data, then you want to display that data, whatever they're entering on that text field, you want to display it to them back as they type. So that in itself is state. So in that case, you would have why is this thing taking long? Yeah, yeah. Just have to wait. Yeah. There is no other. Okay, let me just explain what is happening here. For example, for this, you notice this is inside a stateful widget. Then there is now it's state. This is where you define the state of the widget. For example, inside this widget, there's a counter which is initialized with 0. That's the state of that counter. Finally. the app is up. Uh, you initialize it with 0. And then there's a function called increment counter that does increment the counter by 1. This is add 1 to the counter. So this method, increment counter, is called every time you press this button. Is the phone visible as well?
Phone is visible. You can see it.
All right, all right. So if I was to click, there's a floating action button that's it's been created by this widget here. So if I just click it, it's an add. Then you push the button. So that's it increments the counter. It calls this method here, increment counter, defined here, which sets the state now to counter plus plus. That is just increment the counter by 1. So that's why you'd set your state, or you can just put anything else, like maybe a string. Say a string called what do you want to say? Uh, my string. Let me just call it my string. Initialize it as an empty string. So for this string, I want to every time I click this counter, it shows me. It also does change the string itself. So let's say, but then it's not really show you what I'm trying to get to, but let's just say I was clicked. Then it's my string, not string. My string right there. So for example, let me just say create another text widget here. Let's say text we set the text initially to be the value of my string, which my string my string. So if I just oh, don't have what we wrote on. Okay, I just press R. There, that is a hot road. Let me just put it inside my browser, inside this thing, so that you can actually see it happening. So hot reload just reloads the app with the new changes you have made without actually restarting the app. It's quite fast anyway. So okay. So now the string is there, but okay, let me just put something that actually not clicked yet. Let me initialize the string as not clicked. Then we click it, and then so that is basically what step is all about. Something. Okay. Show you another example where the icon of something when it's clicked, maybe like a wish list. Uh, we have A lister is another Flutter widget that gives you uh, like they say like that the one that you see when you see all the messages together. That small the text from contact. There is a on the left. Then there's the name of the contact. Then there's like the text they have written, and then at the far end there's the counter of the that thing you can create using a list style. So here we'll start with the title, which text uh, text. I mean, let me close this one now because this one is about to be launched. Actually, I did close. That was smart. Anyway, so let's create that thing. So it takes a text widget, which let's say this is my title. And then if you want to create that small text below it, it's got a subtitle. Then it's also text in a string, a widget, which is a text. Okay. Yeah, we are up and running. So okay, let me just hover over it so you see what I'm talking about. So for a list style, it has properties such as leading. Leading takes a widget, which now you can use. You can. That's why you put the image, the WhatsApp profile image. Then there is a title. That's why you put the name. Then there's a widget subtitle. That's why you put the text itself. Then there's trading. This one you use it when you want to add an extra some widgets at the far end of the on the far right of the list style. So, for example, in this case, I would say text. May enter text widget. Call subtitle. A subtitle. Then under training, let me create there. You can see now everything as it's happening. Let me just remove train. Let me just add an icon. It takes a widget, so it takes anything that's a widget. So that's an icon. I want to add an icon. Which icon do I want? Just say icons dot favorite because we want to create something like a wish list. Can make use of commas at the end. They help in formatting everything when so at least it doesn't go too far on the other side of the screen. Then you have to scroll and all that kind. So, for example, this is an icon which is our favorite. Then it's not clickable at the moment, but there's actually a button for that. Let me use that button. Let me wrap this thing. Let me wrap this thing inside an icon button, which will help us now to get that click behavior. Factor. Okay, it's taking forever. So let me just say icon button. Then icon button takes a child, then there's an onPressed, which takes a function that will be run if the button is clicked. So this is a child. What does it take? Parameter icon is required. Icon size construct. Okay. takes an icon, not a child. So come here, just say icon, the icon itself. Then there is an unpressed, and you can just leave this as empty like that. So at least we get that thing fast running. I, uh, I don't know if you can see that the splash behind that icon. So initially you can just say a favorite is not, it's not favorited. So I think it's favorite line. On your editor, you can always click Control then space. You get all the icons that are available. I want a favorite bold. This is what I want. So put it there. Perform the hot reload. Yeah, there we are. So now I want to change this icon to be the favorite one when I click that. So I need to know the state. So where do I create that state? Just okay. Okay, I was demonstrating this string being changed. If I click this add button here, you see that thing will change out to where I was clicked now, and the counter will also increment. This is the counter, and then what is actually happening here is that the whole screen is being rebuilt, but since Flutter is a bit fast, so you actually don't see that that flicker, so that you can actually tell that screen was actually rebuilt, but it is being rebuilt, the whole of it, like from scratch, everything. So when the state changes, so like if I click here, that whole screen you're seeing right now has been rebuilt, but it's very fast. You can't even notice. So for this favorite, I want to change this button to be a favorite button. So I just come here, where this is where you manage all your state, just below this state thing. So what state am I trying to manage? It's a boolean. I want to say is favorite. Is favorite. Eh, caps, man. Okay, let me just say is fab. Equals to false. Initially, you have not favorited it, so it's false. So I'll come here and say, remember icon takes an icon widget. But with that now into play, you can say is 5. Then it's a shorthand for like if else statement. If 5, it's already false. So we are saying no, not that way, like that. So if this one gives you false, let me just start with the true, the positive part. If it's if it's true, then let the icon be our favorite icon, like that. But if it's false, then I want this to be this icon in the bolder now, like that. So watch the rebuild, and boom, because this thing is false. That's why we have that button as a border. But for example, now we want to change it to be true. So come here. So when I press that button, I want to set the state. Then what state do I want to change is file. I want it to be true. There. Okay, this is just for demo for for okay. Let me just click it. You see, it changes now because its fab now is set to true, and the icon to show when that is true is this one, which is the favorite now with color inside it. So if I click this back, it won't change anything because you're not toggling the state, but can create a function that will do the toggling for us. So can just say void toggle favorite. So I want to change uh, the state of is5. So is5, so it's like its favorite. Let me just write in full so it becomes easy to track what is happening. Favorite. So its favorite. We want to change the state. So this is what you want to do. You just want to toggle between true and false. So we'll just check favorite. If it's true, we want to set it to false. If it's false, then we want to set it to true. There. That's it. That's all you need to do there. So I'll just come now and call this function inside here, inside this thing, set state. I call the function now. No, not that. This one because we are set. Okay, let me just change the state when it's here. Then at the button, we call just the function itself. So there, put that inside the set state. Then under here, I'll just remove all these and I just call toggle favorite like that. And this one I'll set it to favorite. It's favorite there. So now initially, because now we have reloaded the whole thing, state did change and it is false. So now I want to click on this button, this favorite button, to change the state of it. So if I do that, state its favorite now is true. So this is the icon that is shown. So if I click on it again, it changes the state to false because now we're checking if the state was true, and we're just toggling between true and false there. So that is just simple state management. When you're building actual apps, like apps you would use in the real world, there's a package called the provider. Provider, not the provider. Okay. For now, there's a provider. Then there's Riverpod. I haven't used Riverpod, but it's quite new. And also there's let me just provider. So let me zoom this thing in. Boom. Hope you can see everything as I can see it from this side. So for an app that like you have an app that, for the e-commerce example, you have a cart which is being changed in different places of the app. So you can't have state being changed like inside this single place. You want this state to be shared across other across other places or widgets in your app. So for example, for an e-commerce, you have a cart, and then you have a product screen where the button will change to, for example, let's say if the item is already added to cart, just give me a different button. Don't give me an add to cart button. Give me a plus item like minus or plus. Then I hope you have seen that something like that in Jumia. If you are yeah, if the item is already in cart, you just get plus or minus buttons. You can just play with those. You add more items, the same of more of the same item to the cart, or just reduce the number of items in the cart. So for such an instance, I would use a provider, and you create. I don't know if you have enough time to even demo the provider itself. But if you want to add the provider inside your app, you just come to PubSpec, then come to dependencies right here. You just add, this is you see packages in this pub.dev website. Then you see package with the favorite Flutter favorite. You know that that's what Flutter the Flutter team recommends. So you know you're safe. You're in safe hands. So let me just add that. You just copy. Okay, we are adding Flutter a provider version 5. It's already added. The exit code is 0, so it was added successfully. So okay, now let me create. Okay, I don't know. Simon.
Yes, man.
This provider demo might take some time. I don't know how much time we have left.
We have 18 minutes.
18 minutes. 18 minutes. Okay. Uh, Let me try to do something with it. So let's say for a big app you'd have several files. Like for models you have like a model folder. This is why you'd like put things that deal with the data that is inside your app. So for example you have it's gonna take some time, but anyway, let me try to be fast. You have a product, then you have you have a cat model. So that. And then cat just takes, you can just create a class of it. No, let me just, okay. This is a model, so it's just a cat, and cat will have items, which is like a list. No, it's supposed to be a list. I may not go into the just a list of items. Then it's just a list of products. Then you'd have maybe another folder. You call it services. This is where now you use your provider. So inside here, let me just have now my card service. Dot that. So with that setup, and we have provider in our. So let's create a class called card provider, and then we change notifier. This is the one. Okay, use change notifier because we want to we want to use some functions. Science, trying to be fast. So it's part of foundation. Like it's from the foundation part in that Flutter, not that. So for a card provider, let's say you have it has items, which is a list of items. Then you can just initialize it as empty, an empty list. Then we create a getter function for that. this is a setter function. This is a getter. This is what you call when you want to get now everything that is in uh, the cut. So let me just call it list get items. It's a getter function, so just returns the items themselves. So what is happening here? It's not used. Try removing few. I'll use it. Okay. So next thing is say we want to add item to the cart. Okay, this is gonna take some time. Let me just do a simple one. Where you're managing the number of clicks. So we just call it a counter dot that class counter. Then class has a count, which is initially 0. So and there's functions like add. Let me just call it increment. Just call it increment. Which what it does? No, it is supposed to go here. There are several ways you can do it. You can put it here, or you can also put it inside the services. So let me just put it inside here. So let's do a count, add, then file. So in this case, we need to use something called a notify listener, which so you with or extends is it's like extending a class now to have okay, for your programming class, you know what I mean by extend. So then we have with that you have access to a function called notify listeners. Right there. So then we're just incrementing. So let me just leave it at increment. Where's that? Let's count. Change notifier, increment that, count that. All right. So now we can create a getter for this count. That int count equals to 0 is a setter. So create a get count. We call it's a getter function. So all it does is just return the count right there. Nothing more. If you have any questions, you can be post them on the group chat. We have several minutes remaining. So yeah. Let me just change this to provider with that. So in our main here now, to use provider, you say with the description right here. You have to add it like there's something called like the widget tree itself. I don't have time to show you that, but there's a widget tree. So there's a way things have been put down from beginning to the end, like from the parent widget to the last child widget at the far end. So most of the time you put your provider at the top where it's necessary, where it's needed, not where it's not needed. Just bring the provider as as closer to where it's being used as possible. So for this, let me now remove this. So int counter, this one will now be a value from provider of take note here what I'm doing. Instead of now, you're not going to be using the counter inside the home, that state there, but you're going to use the counter inside the counter model, the counter provider, sorry. So then I do context. Dot, sorry, you have to import provider. Bring provider there. Context, okay, the problem here is that you don't have access to the context when you are here, but you can have access to it. There's another method inside a state code in each state. So you can just come here and we set our counter can just remove this here from here. With this, we have access to the context. Then dot get count. Remember the function we called get count? Not the function, the get, the getter function we called count. Let me just remove these extra ones so that we get a clean build. All right. What is happening? Can't get what? Expected to find from where? Okay. It's get, then it's the call for to the function now, not the other way around. I'd written it. So get count. We're initializing counter at 0. So, and here, as you can see, there's set state counter, increase this by that. So instead of having this function here, I'm gonna just comment it out, and we'll use this increment, this one right here. So let me show you how it works now. Now remember we had this one first, which was calling this. So instead of this, I'll call provider of counter provider. Then put the context right there. Then we increment. That's what we want to do. We're getting an error. It returns a void. So the expression has a type void, so its value cannot be used. So just put this inside a function like that. Just don't return anything. We just want to change the count. We don't want to return anything. So when this thing is pressed, we'll get that, increment that. So I want you now, this won't work, but let me just run it so I can teach you something else. So so for this, there's this thing I've just clicked here, which is you get this error. Provider that it's a button press, so you can just set it to false. So for such things, because you don't need the button to change, you just want the state, that is the counter itself, to change. So you do a listen equals to false, because we don't want to listen to the button clicks. We just want to listen to the change in counter. So now perform a hot reload and then click that, get another error which says, you cannot find the correct provider above this home widget right there. So for this case, this is because there was nowhere I provided a provider. I was just calling it. So I never provided it. So at the topmost, which is this is where my homepage is being called from. Now this is where you'd inject your provider. So I'll wrap these inside. Uh, uh, I'll wrap this thing. Okay, I'm refuse squad. Let me just wrap it inside a provider. Then provider, this is a child, and then I just add that there. All right, we are doing good now. So the provider now takes in the create, which you create there. Now the create is what now, that's where you put in your provider. So just do a create, then build, just pass in context. And this, when I'm creating that, this is what I want to return. I want to return the counter provider. There. That's what I want to return. So from our trigger, this thing should work now. What is that? Depends to the inherited widget, the constructor in its state, and the rebuild dependent will not reflect the changes inherited. You're having an error with that. So let me just check the documentation. So this is how you use it. Provider, create my model. Yeah. Remember, this is a change provider. So you'd actually call it as a change notifier because we have that thing change notifier going about with the provider thing. So for here, this is what you'd use. Change not. Don't use that. Don't use that. Where is that? Change notifier. Change notifier. Let me just check the example they have provided. Actually, we have implemented the same example you're trying to implement here. Provider, change notifier provider, that. So let me just you need change notifier provider, counter provider. Just use a multi-provider. Use a multi-provider when you want to add more than that to the app. So it's a good place to always, if you know you'll be working in multiple providers, just add a list of now the providers. Takes in a provider, that, and then takes in a list. And the list takes in now the providers themselves. So it's a change. Change notifier. Change notifier provider. I'll create, then context. Then we're passing the provider itself now. Contact provider. is persistent. Dependent inherent provider, counter provider, dependent was called before my app in its. Oh, okay. See if that works. Okay, no change. Okay, let's just call this provider thing inside here. So inside the build, let's set our state inside here, inside the build right there. So that is because it was refusing to work because this thing was being called before even the whole widget is built. So you need to. That's when I now have the counter right there. So if I click this, it's performing a hot reload. Yeah, right there. So that's so this is a function that's being called increment. This is a function that is right here. Increment, which is incrementing the counter one, then there's notify listener, which this just notifies that the value count has changed, so reboot the widget. So if I click it again, there. So you have just that's the framework you'd use when you're building a bigger app. You wouldn't be setting state inside the here because you'd have a lot of state to manage, and then you for you to like change to transfer this counter to another widget that is not within this my home page, then you have to find other ways of doing it. There's no way you can transfer that. So the best way is just have a shared state, which with provider you'll get that. So for example, here in main, this is a shared state. So anything below this material app, anything below that will have access to this provider and the values that are changed or the updates and everything that is happening. So I think that is it for today. We are even past time, but it was nice having you guys. So take you over to Simon.
Good evening, guys.
Good
Uh,
evening, sir.
don't call me sir. I don't know whether everybody was able to follow, but yeah, thank you for the session. And this thing is getting interesting each and every day. I don't know what about other guys. So at this moment, I welcome questions. Clinton, Paul, we have Emmanuel, Egon, we have John Bogwa, and Mary Nyambura. Uh, the floor is yours. You can ask any question. You can decide to type or unmute. Yes, you can do any of the above.
So to add to that, what I've talked about, there's actually there's more to the provider. That was just part of just showing you the top parts. So the best way to learn how to work with it is actually to just build a small app that uses provider, and yeah, you'll get to know how everything is being tied up in the provider. There's a lot of low level stuff that you don't get to do when you use provider, because for like for example, as in for provider, it's just inherited widgets. That's what is being used underneath. But if you were to use those, then you take longer before you actually get anything moving. So the provider just makes it easier for you to just share state within an app. uh, and remember, state, there's something called state, and then there's shared preferences. Like, say, for something like you log into an app, then they have your settings already there. So, like, if you those settings, they're not usually being managed by state. They're just being managed by something maybe like a shared preference. But before it gets to the shared preference, there is a state that is being changed. So you update the state, then you update the shared preferences, then the widget will rebuild for you, then you'll see the new changes and the new settings that you have on your app. So and next time you come back, because state is only available when the app is running, because when you close the app, state is done. Not even when you close the app, when you close that widget, the state is gone. So what you'd find in apps is something called the shared preferences. That's what they would use. So yeah, that's what is used when you log in, and because like for example, WhatsApp, when you log in once, you only get to log in again if maybe you close your account or something like that. So there's the shared preferences. There's the stored state now inside the app, and then there's the state itself, like the uh the what, let's say the count for your messages and stuff like that. Yeah, those are now changed by set state. And then maybe you have, for it to be available offline, maybe they have some underneath there's like a shared preference which now will save all your counts for the messages and stuff like that even when you go offline. So and every time you load the app, you always get the same thing. But if something changes and you're online, the state changes and then the app loads again. You don't even see it, but yeah, it does happen. That's what state is all about. So Simon, if there's no questions, we can wrap it up then. Thank you guys for showing up today. We really are happy to see you here.
Well, I don't know whether there is a question. I've not seen any, but I think you've explained the concept of state management the way it should be, because that's the same way we do in Android.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe these guys can just unmute and say hi. Let me, Clinton. Clinton, you can unmute. Seems like he's not ready. What about Yegon? Are you able to unmute?
Hi.
Hi, hi.
Hi.
Uh, I'm glad to to have attended this session. Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome. Who else? John. John, are you in a position to unmute and say hi? John seems just John is not. What about Mary? Mary Nyambura. Well, but I trust you've been hearing us. Hatujako tukijiongelesha. I know that is one disadvantage with easy with is online. You might end up, you can even find yourself talking and you are on mute, so nobody was hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've found myself in such situations once in a while. But anyway, thanks guys. And what I can urge people is that whatever we learn here, go and practice. Don't keep it on store. Oh, Mary,
Hi.
hello, Sasa.
Hello.
Well, maybe she has some minor issues. Ama hiyo noise inatoka side gani?
Niko wako.
Si kwangu. Maybe it's from her side. Well,
Uh,
yeah. I was urging, I'm saying, the best thing people can do is what we learn, you go practice. Otherwise, takuwa tu class theory, kama hakuna practical, you still fail. So with that, I don't know whether there is anything else. John, John is not in. Mary, are you done? Mary Nyambura, are you done? Okay, can see Clinton is back. Clinton, but I trust everybody can hear us. So with that, let's call it a day till next time. Yeah, the whatever the event has been recorded and the link will be shared. So thank you so much, Chege. Till next time. That is 28th.
All right.
This yeah. So what are we doing that Friday?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. We can check on that thing provider calls. That's what will be
Okay.
most used also the time. Yeah.
And then maybe let me make this announcement that we are having an idea of doing a project. Maybe I can even share the idea. The project will be a simple app for keeping the updates of the events we are doing and maybe other communication. The app will be purely done in Flutter and we are looking for a team. So guys, take things seriously and maybe that app you can add it to your CV that during certain time I did this and this and this. So thanks guys, till next time, kwaheria kuonana.